All right, we're back on the show, and we are trying out a new co-host right now. We have Don Mucci joining us on this side of the table now, right, Don?
Yes, thank you. This is my first ever co-hosting gig.
Well, you had some time to kill, and we thought, well...
I'm up for anything. You got to put yourself out there every now and again.
And we gave you a pink drink, too,
yeah, and
right?
Cheers to that. Thank you again. It's very good. Zeal?
Zeal.
To your good health.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's got some ingredients in it that are supposed to be good for you. So
tastes good.
Tastes pretty good. So we've got Craig Major joining us now from Startup Toronto. And Craig, great to have you. We had a kind of a meeting last week, but now we're going to get a chance to really get into the nitty-gritty about Startup Toronto and all the great things that you guys are doing. And so do you want to give us a little introduction to what Startup Toronto is and how you got involved?
Absolutely. Startup Toronto is the local chapter of Startup Canada. And we'll start with what Startup Canada is. It started several years ago. It's run by a lovely lady called Victoria Lennox. She founded it.
That Don knew already.
Yes.
Yes,
right?
Great lady. Doing great things for entrepreneurs.
And their goal is to create startup communities and boost startup ecosystems across Canada. And we're just one of those communities. I think we were a little slow to the game. We're 22nd out of 25 so far. Communities of Startup Canada.
That's hard to believe that Toronto would be so late in the game.
It is. I guess because we have a very healthy ecosystem here already. Starting something like Startup Toronto takes a lot of work. So it's not something that is for everyone. But having said that, I met Gabriella Yocto, who is my co-founder of Startup Toronto in early March last year, and we hit it off right away. And at that time, she was running a series of town halls with Startup Canada and the City of Toronto to figure out what Startup Toronto should be here and what the ecosystem needed. And we took the survey and the feedback and really took that to heart and built a community and programs to help support entrepreneurs here.
Right.
We're a grassroots entrepreneur-led organization here in Toronto to connect, support, and accelerate startups and small businesses. A lot of people are solopreneurs, are working by themselves out of their home, and they can't do that all by themselves.
Right.
And so we're really building an active community here. We've gone from just under 300 members March last year to we're about 2,200 now. We should be 4,000 by the end of the year.
Fantastic.
And it's just growing like crazy.
You seem very passionate about this.
Oh, I am. I have a very give-first mindset, and I love helping people. I got a background in corporate, but I really like helping people start something new and get things off the ground. And Startup Toronto has been a great vehicle for that.
It's a great organization, and I wish you were around back when I started as an entrepreneur. Now, I chose the franchise model to grow my brand. There's mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, solopreneurs. We're all entrepreneurs at the end of the day, and we all need support when we're starting out. For myself, I never had any formal education, and I just went into it as any entrepreneur would, just take the risk and ask questions later. But this is a great organization because you help with everything that an entrepreneur needs to get a business up and running, right from the intellectual property to building the systems and things that they need, that they have to have in place, like their insurance and all of that. You're like a roadmap. You're a guide to these young, burgeoning entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not funny, but it's developing the business plan, validating ideas. Is this a good idea? Is this a good business model? Figuring out what the brand should be, what the value proposition, who your first customers are. We recently had Sales for Startups boot camp middle of the month, and that was focused on how to get your first customer, and how do you take away a customer from an existing with an existing supplier. And we had really good feedback on that. And that's the kind of things we do, show you how to build a business plan, show you how to give you all the tips and tricks you need to sell, develop, brand, market. Is your idea valuable? Showing you tips on how to do like A/B testing and how do you know if there's a market and if you have the right price point and all those types of things.
The alpha and beta testing, is that what you're referring
Yes.
to? So is there a cost to the entrepreneur for being part of your organization?
Right now, Startup Toronto is free.
Okay. That's great.
Some of our meetings are $10 or $15. We are trying to be very open. because we think that a lot of people who are just starting don't have a lot of money. Though we're toying with the idea of a membership model in the fall, something like $25 a year, and that'll get you into most of our events for free, so that won't be an issue. And that just gives us kind of a steady income to help us get food at the events, more marketing, more tools, more mentors. Almost every one of our events includes mentoring with experts in the area. A lot of the startup communities in Toronto, they'll have a big speaker, and then they'll give out a prize where the winner gets 20 minutes of the speaker's time where they can sit down one-on-one. And that's nice, but 90% of our events, the speaker actually comes and talks to you for an hour. We do 3 20-minute mentoring sessions afterwards, and people can just go. It's all part of it. It's not just one person, it's everybody. And so we feel that the people are more a part of the community. And we don't just do one event a month like some people do. We do 5 to 7. And interesting things, not just like the crowdfunding boot camp we have coming up that we're actually going to be recording here on June 15th.
June 15th, and people can, we'll tell people how to do that, but it's going to be here. We're going to stream it live, and it's going to be really looking forward to working with you on that event.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. And we're going to have a lot of people coming out. We're going to record that and then share that with our audience because there's a lot of tips. And crowdfunding is, as an example, growing very fast.
And it's new, right?
Yes.
I mean,
pretty new.
And so people, it's just another new strategy that
How to
a
fund your
small
company.
business can use, right?
How to validate your idea via crowdfunding, how to launch your company via crowdfunding. There's a bunch of new laws that just came out within the last month around equity crowdfunding, which means not only can you do what they call rewards-based crowdfunding now, where I put money in and get a T-shirt or get a product at the end of the day. You're now saying, I like this company, I want to put money into ownership of that company via crowdfunding. So you could launch a company or the law states now you can go twice a year for crowdfunding financing up to $250,000.
That's interesting because there's a cash-starved group of entrepreneurs trying to make it in this world. And as you know, as any entrepreneur knows, getting capital is the hardest thing. How does that compare to going public? I mean, you're essentially sort of doing the same thing. You're selling shares of your company for an investment, but it's not a public offering. It's under the umbrella of a crowdfunding. I've just not understood how that works.
Because there's a lot of red tape in going public and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I just never really understood how it worked as far as who the accounting. Is it done by the actual platform that's running the funding kind of
from a crowdfunding
vehicle?
point of view? So it depends. Every crowdfunding platform is a little bit different.
Okay.
Usually the crowdfunding platform just takes a percentage of what you raise, and that's kind of how they do it. And then you're responsible for everything else.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty great thing for an entrepreneur to be able to have access to.
Yes.
Versus trying to go to the banks, which are 9 times out of 10 going to tell them, no, I struggled with that myself, and I didn't want to give away a large chunk of my business and have a partner. It's a little more complicated, so it's nice to have that option for an entrepreneur to get other like-minded people involved, and not give too much away.
Because up to this point, from an equity crowdfunding point of view, you needed to be a securities trader and be certified under certain things, or what they call an advanced trader who has a high level of risk and been doing this for a while, to get in on IPOs or to do investments of this kind. Now they're kind of opening it up to the greater community. And it's up to now, it's been a risk, right? The government's tried to protect the consumer from investments that they're not prepared to handle and all that kind of stuff. So you couldn't get in on the ground floor of some of these companies, but now with this kind of thing you can.
That's great. Bitcoins to come.
Yeah.
We'll be trading in Bitcoins soon.
That is a whole other
oh my gosh, that
conversation,
perplexes
right?
me. Oh. But this is great that you're here and we're talking entrepreneurship.
Well, and I just want to say that I think it's really needed because when I look, the jobs are disappearing, companies are downsizing, and more people, whether they want to or not, are becoming entrepreneurs, starting their own businesses. I think that's really where the growth in the economy in the future is going to be. We all have to become entrepreneurs, essentially.
Well, creating your own job, because no one's going to give you a job for life anymore. So
Yeah.
find something you're passionate about and create your own job and your own outcome. Now, I'm curious, Startup Canada or Startup Toronto, do you deal in the franchising world of things? So you're helping entrepreneurs of all kinds and many entrepreneurs in the franchise world. Do you work with any franchisors?
I haven't worked directly with franchise owners, so we're non-agnostic. So if a franchise owner wanted to come in and work on the business plan, it's just the same steps.
Right. So would you have experts in your staff that would be able to lead someone down that franchise path?
Yes, we would.
Perfect.
Or maybe,
That's lovely.
maybe even, because you're doing like 5 to 7 events a month, that I wouldn't be surprised if one of those might be all about franchising as
Yes.
one, right? That's the kind of thing you might put together, right?
Yes, exactly the kind of thing we might put together. We try and change it up because we want to offer something new to our community every month. We have regular recurring things around financial literacy. A lot of startups don't understand how to work a balance sheet, talk about runway when it comes to cost and burn rate and expenses and figuring out how long they can actually function as a company on the money they have, which is really important because everybody asks me, how do you get funding? How do I get
That's the
funding
big one.
for my
That's
company?
the
And
big
so the question I ask them when they say that is, so if someone came, if I had $25,000 to give you now, what would you do with that money? And they just kind of look at you. It's like, okay, so you want someone to give you money, but you
Yeah.
don't know
You don't have a roadmap or a plan.
what your plan is.
Yeah.
You just know
Yeah.
you need money to build your company, but
Yeah.
what's that money actually going to do? Is it going to drive your marketing plan, give you manufacturing, give you development time to get
Yes.
you prototype your app?
Yeah.
People need to understand the value of what you're going to do with that.
And it can go like that.
Yes.
It's like liquid. And I'm telling you, you'll have people coming at you when you're a startup entrepreneur to take advantage of
for
that
sure.
naivete.
Yes.
And that money will be spent on one branding firm within a
Right.
week.
And then
It can,
So
yes.
to help educate and mentor, that's why I'm glad you touched on mentoring, to help educate the young entrepreneur of you need a plan and don't let anyone veer you from that plan. And there's a lot of sharks out there. They call it Shark Tank for a reason. So yeah, that's fantastic that you're able to help navigate the way for some
But
of
it's
these
funny too
entrepreneurs.
because you mentioned, people, they know they want the money, but then when you ask them what they use it for, they don't know. And
Right.
I know myself, I've been in that situation where I thought I knew what I wanted, and then they actually asked me the question, and I didn't have the answer. And I go, wow, like I can't believe that. I thought I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
So really, and that's where that mentoring can be so helpful in that, right?
Yeah, and let's sit down and figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's go over coffee,
Ask the
show the
questions.
business model.
Yep.
We'll have a good conversation, draft something out. I'll review it later. I directly consult with startups and help them do this, so I can build that with them. But I prefer to just mentor them through that process, and I mentor directly only a handful of people at a time because I'm crazy busy with everything else.
it's a
But I
lot.
try and be selective with the people who are actually moving things forward. So you sit down with them and develop that financial plan. And I use a tool that I call the Lean Business Canvas. It's popular in startup world based on the lean business model. And it's a one-page business model, and it's easy to look at. It's fairly easy to develop, and it really makes you focus your thought process down to really your business plan, and everything is in one page. Your value proposition, who your customers are, who your users are, where your revenue streams are coming from, what your costs are, and it's all in one.
That
One
is-
page?
Oh,
One
that
page.
is so beautiful.
I want to see that.
I want that page. I'm going to give it to all my franchisees. No, to be honest, the simple, like
Yeah.
I said it earlier, simple is best,
Yeah.
right? And when you condense it down and you refine it to what's really important, all the rest of it just becomes white noise, right? And you don't need all of that stuff going around. You really need to focus.
Right.
And that's fantastic. I'd like to see that document.
Yeah.
Well, happy to
Yeah.
share that with you. People think it's easy, but it's hard.
It is.
You need
Because
to distill it down to
Yes.
one page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you ask somebody what their company is,
Yeah.
the really good people can tell you in a sentence or two.
Yeah, elevator
Yeah.
people.
The other people haven't distilled it down to a couple of thoughts,
Right.
a couple of lines. They really haven't done that work, and it's
Yeah,
hard.
Yeah, it is hard. Very. I'm glad you're here with us today to talk about this. And I'm wondering, do you offer a vehicle or a platform for people to perhaps advertise through your network? So say I'm a franchisor and I'm looking for franchisees, and we all know people will succeed better and faster in franchising because they've got that roadmap and they've got that support. Do you have any kind of programs that liaison some wannabe entrepreneurs with really good franchise systems that will help them get a business up and running?
Well, we haven't worked much with franchising, but now that we're talking about it, it's a really good idea, and I think I need to put that together.
I have to talk to Victoria about that one. Yeah,
and I think there's probably a good franchise show I should be putting together now as a result of this.
Well, you know, I'm on the board for the Canadian Franchise Association. I'm a member, and it would be lovely to have a conversation with Startup Canada to see how we can find ways to work together.
That sounds
Canadian
fantastic.
Franchise Association supports entrepreneurship and small business across the country, and we're working really hard to keep that business model because it's so successful.
And it sounds like a perfect alignment.
Another ThatChannel miracle.
It's another moment. Oh, another cheers moment.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this stuff is doing me good
Is it
here.
really?
Oh, I like it.
You feeling
it's really
it?
nice, yeah.
Okay.
And I still don't know what I'm drinking, but it's good.
It's zeal.
I have no
That's all you
idea
need
what
to know.
I have no idea what zeal is, but
Sounds
it's
like
good.
a 60 marketing campaign. You're drinking Moxie. What is
And
that?
I'm going to fly right out of this building later.
Okay, so Craig, I want to ask you what some of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs, because it really is a growing sector of the economy.
Yep.
I mean, you've already mentioned, and I think maybe it's the financing aspect of it, right? But entrepreneurs are not getting help from the government. They're not getting help from the banks. They're, you know, and here now we're, as you're saying, the crowdfunding, we have to figure out how to capitalize ourselves, right?
Yes. And so we're working to build the tools and the funding mechanisms and the finances for startups. When I say that, I have partnerships with people like Fundica. They had the Fundica Roadshow here, and they're a company that takes all different online different funding options and bring it together for entrepreneurs, and there's a bunch of online tools to help them go through that. We're putting together a couple of sessions now on loans and grants and government funding and how to apply to those. I'm working with the City of Toronto to try and put some things together. The City of Toronto does have some money for people like young entrepreneurs. They have a under 30 entrepreneur program. If you put in your business plan and apply, you can get $5,000 in grant money.
It's fantastic.
That's just for under 30. I'm not under 30, but a lot of our constituents are. So there's money out there. We work with partners like shredfunding.com. SHRED is SR and ED, so it's Scientific Research and Experimental Development, and it's a tax relief program for the government. It's the biggest one. It's over $4 billion given out a year, and you can get up to 68 cents back on the dollar for you spend on your hires here in Canada,
Right.
Related to development work.
Wow.
So it's retroactive, so it's tax credits after, and people apply, and it's a very good return. It's the biggest government incentive program.
Wow.
So we educate people on that, but it's usually they have to be in business for a year before they can get that.
So are you kind of like, you got your awareness of all these different programs?
Yes. Trying to anyway.
Right. So that's a great resource.
And we're
for
putting
small
the list
business,
together
right?
so people can go see that.
I mean, I want that document and the connection to that program. I mean, I would still utilize something like that. And I'm sad when they always do all the young entrepreneur stuff. You know, most people are retiring or losing their jobs in middle age to retirement age, and that's a perfect time for someone to start a business. We should maybe do some more stuff for people that are in their 50s and 60s that want to continue to work or that have lost work and wants to start something.
And it's
do
really
some
hard to get
funding
reemployed at
for
that age,
and it's
too.
very difficult to get reemployed at that age. So that's another segment I think would be wonderfully supported by your organization, because there's a lot of people looking to start businesses at any age, not just youth.
Well, you know what I'm thinking, because I've been thinking about, you hear all those conspiracy people, right? They're going, oh, the whole economy's going to crash like any minute now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And theoretically something could happen,
Right.
And it's almost like what we really need. It would be nice if the government or somebody could say, look, let's have an emergency, an economic backup plan in place.
Contingency fund to help.
And one of the things that concerns me, and I know as entrepreneurs, often we're trying to sell to other small business people, and everybody's just a little bit short on cash. If there was a little more money in circulation, then every business could be more successful. The businesses could buy from other entrepreneurs what they need, right? And then those businesses would be earning money. I think we need an emergency funding for entrepreneurs just in case of some kind of
Well,
economic
I
disaster.
think you're right on the money there. I mean, we've got a new government in place who's all about the economic development and, you know, our
Yeah.
economy. So maybe that's a letter or a conversation or...
So we were just at Startup Day on the Hill, May 5th.
Oh, we were on the Hill as well.
Where, in Ottawa?
In Ottawa. So
Yeah.
Startup Canada runs a Day on the Hill event every year where we sit down. It's a one-day event, but the startup communities,
Yeah.
like Startup Toronto and many of the others, they go there the Wednesday, the Thursday, and the Friday. And so we met with many of the different ministers in the new cabinet, did policy hackathons on women in business and how to scale in women in business and how to remove roadblocks financially in the communities and how to scale and how to increase financial literacy. All of these things.
Right.
I've recently met with the Canadian Minister for Business Development who works with Mexico and LATAM and foreign markets, talking about how they're going to bring businesses here to Toronto to invest and start and expand, and how we would do that and facilitate that with Startup Toronto. We're meeting with John Tory in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to be talking about how we can make tax credits for people to start. How can we... it's great that we have SHRED, and that's awesome. But exactly for the types of things that Hugh just mentioned is... I want to support this community. We have a lot of people who are losing their jobs and getting on unemployment or on different subsidy programs. How do we get them off them and generating revenue?
Exactly.
How do we let them get their self-esteem and do all those things and build companies or whatever business they need?
Right.
Because that's only going to save the government money. And so why don't we incentivize them by saying, hey, if you're hiring other local startups and small people, we're going to give you credit back.
Yes.
Let's make it more than scientific. Let's make research and development. Let's make it local community supported and figure out how we do that. If you're a startup in the first 2 years of your life, maybe you need tax credits for hiring local beyond these things. So exactly, we can address a lot of these things. How do we get money? How do we go to ThatChannel and say, listen, I'd love to start a new TV venture with you and stream these things. How do we make that work?
Yeah.
And if we each have a little bit of money and say, great, we're going to get some tax credits back by working with each other, that makes it better. Rather than going online and finding somebody somewhere else and the money's going where?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other thing I was just thinking, because you're doing all these events and you know, the crowdfunding, there's a lot of new phenomena coming into being, and there will continue to be, you know, as things get more complex, innovation just keeps going up. There's always going to be new things that entrepreneurs need to learn about, right?
Always.
So it just seems to me that this is really, you know, the service that you guys are providing is really something that all businesses really need, because there's just so much stuff coming into play all the time that people need to learn about. What are some of the topics or you know, the ideas that you guys are going to be doing events on?
So we have some regular stuff like startup drinks, second Tuesday of every month, and it's just right now we've been last few times we've been having it at Marche at Brookfield Place, and it's great. We get about 100 or so entrepreneurs out, and they're practicing their pitches. They're looking for mentors. They're touching base with, I need a copywriter, I need an IP consultant. And it's a fantastic community. We get a lot of first timers out, and it's the gateway. They come in and they say, oh, this is a really friendly community. Oh, these guys really know what they're talking about. And at these events, it's my job to, if I see someone not talking, to go up, talk to him, figure out who he is, and then inject him in different conversations or her. And it works really well because rarely are people not standing around talking to each other and meeting new people and figuring things out. As a solopreneur, a lot of people don't get out. And talk to other entrepreneurs. A lot of my friends aren't entrepreneurs. So when you start talking about marketing and business plans and all these things, their eyes glaze over and they don't want to have those conversations. So a lot of entrepreneurs have the same, they don't have anyone to talk to about these things.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to build this community, and that's exactly one of the things we're trying to do, get them to come out, just talking to other people. If you can talk to someone who's had to make that decision 3 months, 6 months, 2 years from now, they're going to give you save you weeks or months worth of time.
Yes, definitely.
And once you've had one or two of those conversations, it really, the value just becomes clear.
Up.
It really does. So that's just one of the things we do, and that's our most informal event. Just come out, chat, find out where we're at and what's going on. Then we usually have one boot camp a month. This time we're doing it here, and it's crowdfunding. But we do business planning, sales, branding, all those types of things. We've been starting to support women entrepreneurs more and more with International Women's Day in February. March, I think it was.
I'm a woman and I don't even know what day.
Well, no, we had an event for it.
I feel like I should know when that day is. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Sorry, ladies.
We had the event for it, and it turned out great. And we had a lot of support, and we really found some women entrepreneurs in the community who were starting to click together. So our next women's event is June 28th.
Great.
And it's Women Entrepreneurs, Relationship, and Knowledge.
Right.
So it's work at Startup Toronto, WERKSUT is the hashtag. And we really have some strong people coming out to talk about the differences in, that women face in entrepreneurship, how to show up and be seen is what this one's all about, how to network and how to, get out of your comfort zone.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because you have to put yourself out there as an entrepreneur. Because if you don't
tell me that,
no one's
Dawn.
going to come looking for you.
I don't want to hear that.
You haven't done that, have you?
No. I'm not going out there.
But it's important to note that you need to put yourself out there. One thing I always say, that solopreneur, you can't make it on your own.
Yes.
You can't. There's no such thing. You need people, good people around you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Entrepreneurship is a team sport. People don't think it is.
Yes.
But it is. And so with things like the women's event, our one of the things we're working on is really give them tips and tools to use at networking events and that, and then we're going to challenge them to come out to our networking event and practice those things and then report on it afterwards. When we have people working on pitching and mentoring, we say, all right, now come out to our event because our people are used to this. Go out and pitch to these 100 people and get their feedback. No one's going to be embarrassed. Everybody does it, and it's great, and that's what we're encouraging. And as soon as it really builds a sense of community when you take your training from one day and a week later you're using it at an event and practicing and then you get feedback the next time, and we're really trying to develop those skills rather than just go do it. And we're not going to talk about this again for a year.
And I think it's intimidating to get up and speak in front of people. And it's almost like the Toastmasters of business, right? You're teaching people how to overcome that fundamental fear of speaking to a larger audience or even just one-on-one. You're doing that coaching and mentoring for them so that they're able to put themselves out there and be comfortable in that.
Yeah, and doing it in a safe environment.
In a safe environment.
A supportive environment.
Yes.
And that's it. We find a lot of people are afraid to come out at first. So doing things like...
It's intimidating.
By themselves, anyway. Doing things like the women's event, you go and you meet 3 or 4 people that you like and are interesting, and, you're going to be at this other event. Okay, I don't feel like I'm going to be alone anymore,
Community.
and I like this, and grow. So we do things like we're having a photo walk. Well, we just had one in the Distillery District at the end of April. It was great. We had 35, 40 people out, walked around, took pictures, and we had some professional photographers, some startup mentors, and some social media mentors. So people just walked and talked, and you talk to whoever you want, very casual, but again, a sense of community.
Yes.
And just another
thing. Okay, so now we're just about out of time here, Craig, but I want to say for people that are watching now and they're either entrepreneurs or they know they're going to become an entrepreneur, like, what's the process like? We know the website Startup Toronto. I think you have some meetup groups. Like, what do people do from here to make this work for them?
Fantastic. Go to startuptoronto.org, take a look. All of our events are posted on meetup.com/startuptoronto. And that's where go and join. You'll get our newsletter. You'll see all our upcoming events. A lot of them are free, but if they're not free, they're $10 or $15. It's fairly inexpensive. And it just helps us pay for food and pop in the room.
Right.
We are really not for profit. We work with sponsors as much as possible. We have no government funding yet. I'm hoping that's going to change. But go to those sites, get involved, Startup Toronto.
Nice.
So startuptoronto.org and then startupcanada.org. Is it
Startupcanada.ca.
Startupcanada.ca.
Yes.
Startupcanada.ca and then startuptoronto.org.
And just a reminder, people go there, sign up now. They can come to the crowdfunding boot camp on June 15th right here at ThatChannel.
Right here.
And also you're going to be doing a show, too, where you're going to be...
We're doing an interview show.
Yeah.
We're planning on starting it this month, but we're lining up some of the details. So we'll announce that soon.
Here comes
That'll
the
be
passion.
Yeah.
That'll
You
be
hear
on the
passion
website.
in his voice.
Well, I know, right?
He
Because
just perked right up just
Absolutely.
now.
We're interviewing startups and entrepreneurs to tell their story. We have a few people lined up. I'm just trying to lock in the schedule because the problem is getting them here at the same time.
You can count me in.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, people could be watching this in the future. So regardless of what that schedule ends up being, they could find out on the startuptoronto.org website. Right, Craig?
Yes, they can. And if people want to reach out to me, it's Craig@startuptoronto.org. If I get hundreds of emails, it might take me a couple of days to get back to, but that's okay. I'll respond.
Okay, awesome.
I'm so impressed. I'm so happy you let me co-host.
Isn't that
and
great?
I had this amazing opportunity to meet this guest and
I just
talk
thought it might
entrepreneurship.
be the right thing to do, Dawn,
I
since you were
really
here anyway.
enjoyed the opportunity.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
that's
And
great.
thank you for sharing your amazing business and the concept. And I'm so glad you're supporting entrepreneurship here in Canada.
Well, I'm glad I was here, and supporting people like ThatChannel.com is what we're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody just doing it all
It's
together.
a big
Yeah.
community of people helping one another.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn.
should be.
Thank you, Craig, for doing this today, and we're looking forward to working with you some more. So, yeah, June 15th, right here, the Crowdfunding Bootcamp, startuptoronto.org. So I think that's it, Dawn.
Yay. How'd I do?
You did great.
Awesome.
Did she do good?
She
Craig?
did fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody, for
Thank
tuning
you.
in. We'll see you soon right here at ThatChannel.